And you know this, Brian, like I could talk about my experience and the reason why I'm in the database now, in this large database compared to where I've come from. I mean, the year was 1950. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it was about
Roll the
20,
share.
yeah, it was probably close to 20 years ago, starting to kind of use email databases, if you will. And then it wasn't until about 15 years ago or 8 or 12 years ago, I should say, where I really started to experience what a good database looked like and kind of a sharing database. It's kind of like ride sharing, but we just did that with databases. So there were power users that would put in to the database and people would pull out, and I was a royalty owner of that contact because I put it in there. So I wanted to understand a little bit more about how that would work with my day-to-day life as far as in sales go. And I would basically send out emails all morning long, one at a time. This was kind of pre-canned spam stuff, so we could kind of just get away with what we did. But it wasn't the end-all be-all. Yeah, I had a phone number, I had an email address, I had a title of the person, I had their first and last name, the company they were with, and some information about the company, and hope that it was all right, it was all true, and it was all sound. And that relied on the other users to complete that process. It wasn't as automated as we have it now. But the point I'm trying to make is that, when you're doing these types of campaigns, it's important to know how people did it in the past to understand how we can do it today. So I would send out in the morning. In the afternoons, I would leave voicemails with all the people that I sent to. So if I sent out 100 emails or 50 emails in the morning, which was quite a bit, then I would follow up with 50 to 100 phone calls just to make sure that they got it. It allowed me to have that warm call. And a lot of salespeople that need to understand that when you're doing cold calling or cold emailing or anything, you're really looking for that edge. You're trying to get in, trying to build that rapport. You're trying to find a way in. And if you send out a clever email using from a good list, and then you follow it up with a phone call or follow it up with another touch point, that's where the real magic starts to happen, like you're saying, Brian. I mean, that's where there's layers to it. I mean, there's different layers to getting this job accomplished. And really, quite frankly, not to kind of belittle our database or whatever, it's more of when you use a database like what we have that's up to date and powerful, we find that process of building relationships and building rapport happens much faster because you come out with a creative email targeting the person, you know their first name, they feel like they're being talked to directly, and then you follow it up with a phone call. It's not a cold phone call anymore, or the second email is not a cold email. Now we've already started to build that rapport, and I think that's what's powerful and also what's really kind of simple about what we're trying to do. This just gives you the power to be able to do it in a very large amount, very quickly, seamlessly, easy, and be able to start building those relationships immediately. It's shocking how well that works once you do it. So.
Yeah, you make a great point that, I mean, if you're cold calling, you can combine it with the cold emailing. If you're cold emailing, you can combine that with cold calling. And sometimes we'll have clients who they're working towards getting email replies, but they're not yet. And we have them start doing cold calling on the people that have opened the emails. And that's a warmer cold call, like you said. So yeah, those two can really potentiate each other. In fact, it can go in with all the marketing. I mean, if you're doing content strategies where you've got blog posts, you can blast those blog posts out, and that's a valuable kind of it's not a direct sale, which is kind of more welcome sometimes. So you can say, check out this interesting blog post. They go there, they've been to your website. Now you can retarget them on Facebook and Google with ads and cold call them. And now you're hitting these new people with 4 or 5 different strategies at once.